Yemen on brink of losing entire generation of children to hunger, UN warns global development.
Here's a summary of the article.
Almost 100,000 children under the age of 5 are at risk of dying in Yemen as the country slides back into a hunger crisis. An analysis by UN agencies says the coronavirus pandemic, economic problems and conflict have led to the highest levels of malnutrition ever recorded in parts of the country. Serious malnutrition in southern Yemen has risen 10% this year, according to the study, but rose to 15% among under 5s. Yemen is on the brink of a catastrophic food security crisis. If the war doesn't end now, we are nearing an irreversible situation and risk losing an entire generation of Yemen's young children, said Lise Grande, the UN's humanitarian coordinator for the country. Acute malnutrition among children is hitting the highest levels we have seen since the war started. Grande said that until 2020 there had been 2 years of progress against the famine that has loomed over Yemen throughout the war. Yemen's representative at the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization, Dr. Hussein Gadden, said work needed to be done on protecting livelihoods and restoring the country's own food chains.
This post received a score of 19,000, with an upvote ratio of 97%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
While in 2015 our main focus was on trauma and war wounded, in 2017 we dealt with the largest cholera outbreak on the record. A cholera patient must immediately, within couple of hours of first symptoms, arrive to the nearest cholera treatment center or may die of dehydration. Cholera treatment requires a lot of water per patient. Most water pumping stations were bombed by the Saudis.
Thank you for what you do. If I would like to make a donation, do you recommend Doctors Without Borders or do you have another suggestion?
Following. Would really like to know the best way to help.
Call your representatives and demand the US stop actively assisting in the destruction of Yemen. This is not a question of natural disaster humanitarianism, like the OP comment points out, it's an active war zone, and the US has fully backed Saudi Arabia and the UAE in their genocidal campaign of siege and starvation. The system is deeply rotten and controlled by rotten people, and this won't change very much even if Trump is thrown out on his ass next week. Find them and see what they are about, and don't be put off if they seem like a bunch of weirdos.
Congress passed a bill to withdraw U.S. support from the war in Yemen back in April 2019, but Trump vetoed it. Though there was a degree of bipartisan outcry, it was lost in the news, because it happened a day before the release of the Mueller report.
Jesus, this presidency needs to end.
You said it, friend, it's going to literally take Jesus Christ to save us all from Trump. I'm praying till the final vote count. Thank you young PPL for getting out the vote. Thank you everyone who stood in long lines. Thank you.
Individual votes don't count. Only your collective states vote.
What decides the way your state votes?
Developed countries funding wars, yeah, we understand this might be hard on you, we really do. But we seriously need to sell more weapons and not jeopardize our relationship with oil-producing countries. Sorry.
The sustained Saudi campaign against Yemen is only possible with active American support. The US isn't just selling weapons, they are spotting the targets and refueling the bombers midair. This is the worst genocide in decades, and Western media is mostly silent about it.
If the concentration camp has the same borders as the country, is there a concentration camp? Tap's head, and that's all the deniability most of the world needs to say this is a war. War is normal, no problem here.
Concentration, country.
Last year Trump decided to continue America's complicity in the world's worst humanitarian crisis by vetoing the Yemen War Powers Resolution. In its first 2 years alone the Trump administration carried out, compared with 154 during all 8 years of the Obama administration. Far from ending the wars, and in the first 7 months of 2020, the Trump administration conducted more air strikes in Somalia than were carried out during the administrations of U.S. warplanes dropped a record number of bombs on Afghanistan last year, the most since Pentagon began keeping track. A British drone monitoring group insists the number is at least. The Obama administration said it killed 64 to 116 civilians during its 8 years.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.